Intro.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Flywheel, your number one source for everything crypto, DeFi, and all that's in between. If you want to know what's going on in the world on-chain and in graffiti, you've come to the right place. This is DeFi Dave here with capital K, and we're here to help you harness the power of the flywheel. And I say graffiti for a reason, because we have on 0xMaki and Glovin from Heroglyphs. We get on what's in store, what's going on in the graffiti, and then some. Kit, what do you think of this one?
Dude, I didn't realize what they were building. I thought it was just another NFT thingy-majiggy, but this is such deep meaning. I feel like a revolutionist, participating in this.
Yeah, and there's one word I want people to keep in mind: distribution. People, just think about it. It's all about distribution in the end. And how are these hieroglyphs being distributed, and how these different, use cases, whether it's meme coins or NFTs or whatever they have in store in the future. It's all about distribution. It's all about fair launch. It's all about going back to the ethos about what made crypto great, which is the little guy having a chance of making it big. So we're going to get into this one. But before we do, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell button below, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, give us a like. Make sure you follow us on all our socials on Twitter, TikTok, and Telegram at Flywheel DeFi. You can go ahead and subscribe to flywheeldefi.com for all the latest updates. You can follow me on Twitter at DeFi Dave 22.
You can follow me at 0xCapital_K.
And let's get the flywheel spinning. Back to Flywheel. I'm your host, DeFi Dave, here with capital K. And this time around, we have an incredible honor to have on 0xMaki and Glovin, who they're going to go deep into hieroglyphs, which has been the talk of the town. Quite the ambitious project we have here, guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, Maki, I can, when we were out in the desert in Dubai, I think it must have been a year and a half ago. Was this something you've been planning? Was this something on your mind then, or when did this come about? It feels like just yesterday we were just dune bugging and shit.
Yeah, so maybe I can, Inception story is pretty cool actually. We were working on actually some NFT finance protocol. Me, Glovin, a few other devs and whatnot. And ultimately, we went to Taiwan. We had a listening party with Pleaser DAO. And ultimately, the greatest thing about Pleaser DAO is I think the members are involved are all kind of extremely top tier individual in cryptos. And it's just a serendipity of being over there while listening to Wu-Tang Clan unreleased album was, I think, kind of set us on a mission, and this mission kind of blossomed into Hieroglyph. So,
what is the mission?
Yeah, the mission is to basically incentivize holders of ETH to run solo validators, and make sure that people are not too lazy in decentralizing this network, which we believe is one of the beauty of Ethereum, where everyone can have consumer grade hardware and basically run the network in a very decentralized manner. So that's kind of the objectives, or what we want to incentivize.
Why don't you think people have been historically incentivized or motivated to run their own solo validators? Is it just too easy to go and put in an LST, or is it something else?
Well, there's multiple reasons, I think. And even myself, I'm, seed investor in some of these liquid staking protocol. I have nothing against them per se. I think the capital efficiency is amazing with these protocol. For someone that is homeless like myself, I cannot run hardware at home and, always monitoring it, or else some people don't have the technical capabilities of running these kind of the hardware requirements and tech requirements and whatnot. And I do think LSDs have a very great role in our ecosystem. The problem is we are seeing kind of, I don't want to say a capture, I don't want to say super majority in few operators or like LSDs themselves, but we're just seeing kind of not, I would say, what Ethereum stands for. I guess we are taking the easy path. We're taking the lazy path. It would probably have been worse if the ETF that just got approved would have allowed staking. That would have been even worse, I think, for solo stakers and basically like the little guys. So I think that's why. And again, like composability in DeFi, which is enabled via LSD, is also massive. So yeah, tons of reasons. I do like to see kind of innovation in LSD. Like I think what Stakewise is doing, where you can actually run a validator and have a liquid equivalent. I love to see DVT being pushed by Lido, for example. I think mini pools from Rocket Pools have been amazing for like people that have less means. So ultimately, like I'm not saying like LSDs are bad and it's evil and LRTs are so bad and whatnot. No, I think we just need to have a balance. And Heroglyph is what we're trying to do. We're trying to incentivize it in a way that is beyond 3, 4, 7% when you're staking. And that's and the only way to do so is via like some creative means. So that's why we built Heroglyph. And, I think it's a very, I guess our tagline should be, it's a 60 IQ protocol with 120 IQ ramifications. Let's maybe dive in. Let's explain what it means. Yeah.
Yeah. What does that mean? What is Heroglyphs? What's going on? How does it work? And like, how can people benefit from it?
Right. I'm not sure if I should mention Wu was kind of sitting at the table when we had this idea, or this kind of whiteboard jamming session. Glovin, which is in the call with us, was present. He's a co-author of the white paper and basically like helped design all of this. We also had Manny Recon Cruz that was there, which is basically like over at Spot Finance, and Buttonwood, which is like kind of a R&D lab for DeFi primitives. He was also an advisor at Amplefort, if everyone remember, like rebasing tokens, like
the OG rebasing.
Yeah, token, the OG rebasing without the Ponzu sauce. And then we had like all these great minds. We had Suzu was there actually. We had Mr. Block from Taiwan. There's a bunch of folks just gathered in this cramped room and just like basically like ideating for 4 hours straight. And what happened is we took a lot of inspiration from what Runes was doing, which was kind of the talk of the town. Just to be very honest, like I don't have a deep kind of, I would say, acknowledgement.
A deep understanding of Runes?
So anyways, I don't have a deep understanding of Runes per se. Seakeeper from Saffron Finance is actually the one that put it on my radar after Denver. So after Denver, I was asking a bunch of my friends what was popping off and what was happening over there. Well, he told me very frankly, Runes and Bitcoin layer 2s were the talk of the town. And to me, that was kind of catastrophic, like I was a little bit in shambles. Like, how come the dinosaurs are coming back in an ETH event? What is happening here? And, mainly I think it was driven by, of course, like Bitcoin had all this kind of traction with the ETF and a bunch of other stuff happening. So that's why everything was looking bright. But so I started to dig a little bit. Didn't really understand it, to be honest. Kind of just stayed in the back of my mind all this time, just on the back, back process. And at some point, we started to kind of dive into this and think like, well, where can we apply Runes for ETH? Well, what is the equivalent of this? I have been very critical of Ordinals inscriptions, mainly because I feel this is a virus or cancer for blockchains. For Bitcoin, it's perfect because, well, they're not able to sell their block space, their real estate. But for Ethereum, where we are, at capacity, and usually we are, we have not enough blocks and we have too much people trying to do transaction, and that's why we started to have all these layer twos and scaling solutions to help and alleviate this kind of issue. So we started to think about this, and I remembered about in ETH2, we have this very kind of peculiar graffiti field that every validator is running. So if you open Etherscan, click on a block right now, you will be able to see the graffiti of the block proposer. What does it do? What is it? It is only 32 char, 32 characters that are whatever the validator wants to say. Most of them usually are basically like saying which LSD or staking company or validator or custodian is basically validating with. So for example, Stakefish, mine this block. That's kind of how things are being at the moment used. So we said, well, what if we put basically like some character in there, charabia, just uneligible stuff, things that don't make any sense, but we are able to decode it. Maybe Glovin, if you want to dive in here and maybe explain a little bit in detail how do we kind of the transcoder and everything is working, or the way we were ideating this, that would be very cool.
Yeah, Glovin, sorry, before you get started, just for my non-technical understanding, is that graffiti line the same when you see a exploit or hack event and then somebody sends a message to the hacker and be like, hey, don't use USDT, you'll get blocked? Is that the same field?
This is different.
Oh, okay.
This is really on the block proposer. But Glovin, please dive in. I think you are able to explain.
Yes, Glovin, dive in.
So yeah, basically those graffiti itself does not mean anything. So just like how Satoshis or pieces of those Bitcoins mean nothing without those fetching mechanism or what's on top of like Bitcoin. So there has to be some kind of encoder, and there has to be the rules of the syntax to be added to those UTXO input field in order. So transcoder and encoder is something equivalent to that in the context of ordinals and hieroglyphs. So transcoder is it's what defines like the set of rules in terms of the syntax to be added to the graffiti. So for example, before you leave the ticker of the token you want to mine with those hieroglyphs blocks, you have to add sign before your ticker. For chains, you have to add a hashtag or something like that. So that's what transcoder. That's like the kind of role that transcoder serves, and encoder is what actually listens to every single block, every single attestations to see if the validators who are participating has left some kind of graffiti according to the syntax rule that we have defined in the transcoder. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And if you allow me to go further on like distinctions between ordinals and hieroglyphs, since many people are confusing and many people consider us to be the Ethereum equivalent of ordinals.
That's actually going to be one of my questions. Like, what are the differences?
So yeah, to go deep into that, I guess there are 3 main reasons why we referred ordinals and inscriptions in the white paper. So first, the context of the white paper is highlighting that any storage space on top of this immutable ledger, this innovation is valuable. So while I'm not like a very expert on ordinals, I understand that they initially utilize a space called the input field in UTXO as a BRC20 token only ledger. So in our case, we're utilizing this record space known as graffiti, which was introduced when ETH2 was introduced. So another similarity would be that tokens being launched in hieroglyphs are also designed to be fair as ordinals. I think Maki is going to cover this in greater detail later on. Anyway, so moving on to the next one, which is my favorite aspect, is that people were able to contribute to the community and ecosystem as a whole. Well, enjoying themselves and engaging with the meme without necessarily understanding all the details of how it works. So there was significant discourse within the Bitcoin community to ensure that miners were adequately incentivized to continue their work even after the Bitcoin emission schedule ended. So, and this buzz around this concept actually boosted the number of Bitcoin transactions and improved miner profitability. So I'm not certain if this was the developer's intention within Ordinals, but it seems to be the direction where we're heading. So people don't necessarily have to understand every single details. They just enjoy the meme while they're contributing to the ecosystem, whether they recognize or not. And even if you, so yeah, that's the beauty of like what we're trying to build. Even if you do not fully grasp the details or choose not to engage deeply, or even if you don't want to understand in the first place, you're actually contributing to what makes the ecosystem more decentralized, more what makes the ecosystem better, whether directly or indirectly. And one clear distinction that I want to draw that would be, unlike like other inscription tokens, including Bitcoin's PRC20, which has no utility, which is, in my opinion, not a token that we have used to see. We are extension of ERC20, so it can open up various possibilities that anything could be built on top of ERC20. And the most significant aspect, which is, I think, that's something that we'll have to cover later on, is that it does not exert any pressure on the base layer. Just as Maki mentioned, that those inscriptions actually pose a lot of pressure onto the DA layer and the ecosystem itself. It spams a lot, but for us, it does not exert any pressure on the base layer.
And if I can add here, if I can just specify, like, graffitis are ephemeral. They are off-chain. They are something that is not put in the block. It is not on-chain. So
no
there's,
gas.
yeah,
No
it's
gas.
just exactly no gas. But I mean, there's just like, we're not bloating the state further, and that's the beauty, because like, we don't need to do all these shenanigans like on Bitcoin. We can just use, a contract where you can claim these tokens whatever you want. And, like, that's just, and it's going to be on layer 2 either. Like, it doesn't have to be on mainnet and whatnot. And that's really what we wanted to do. We wanted to do something that is layer 2 forward. We wanted to kind of showcase what is possible on ETH. And that's why, we're using, messaging protocol to basically like make sure that wherever you are, as long as it's at the moment EVM, you can claim your tokens. In the future, maybe, who knows, this is going to be on, SVM, it's going to be on MoveVM, it's going to be on all of them, Cosmos potentially. But at the moment, we're, EVM centric to claim. The constant is that this is Ethereum miners, complete validators that are actually producing these tokens. And that's where, like, I want people that are maybe like from back in the days, a little bit more OGs, or else, if you remember the concept of merge mining, that is very important. Yes. So if you have the same hashing algo, yeah, exactly. If you have like
Doge
the same hash rate, there you go, Doge and Litecoin. What a beautiful combo. We love this. We love the Doge. You could also mine, I think it was XMR, so Monero and Pirate Coin, if I remember. There's a bunch of XMR kind of merge mining coins that existed back in the days. And that's kind of what we are recreating with Heroglyph. You will be able to merge mine with your Soul Validator. Not one, not two, but up to, I think it's 28 or 26 tokens at the same time, if you are optimizing to the absolute, maximum, which is, by using kind of aliases, single char, proxy and whatnot. One thing that is very important. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no, I love the merge mining comparison, because I remember when I first learned about it, for like people listening that don't know what merge mining is, you're basically mining two coins at once. So with Litecoin and Dogecoin, before Dogecoin had its own mining, but in 2015 or 2016 or whenever, when it became apparent that it having its mining on its own wasn't enough, it decided to basically like borrow Litecoin's mining and security to mine Dogecoin. And so you're mining in parallel. And when you said like, oh, hieroglyphs, you're basically mining in parallel between Ethereum and all these different hieroglyph tokens. And soon you said it would be up to 28 tokens. I find that really cool. Did I explain that right?
Yes, that's correct. And this brings me to kind of another side of hieroglyph. So to me personally, I think there's two sides to it. Two main theme, I would say. So there's this kind of distribution thing that we're saying about the merge mining and whatnot. And then someone, most of the people will ask me, well, like, why would we buy these tokens? What's the incentives here? What's happening? So there's one thing that we lost with POS, and I think that is very unfortunate. The beauty of POW is that anyone can just spin up some hardware and just come and mine the token, the coin. It's not even a token, it's a coin. They can just basically there's an emission schedule, there's a difficulty. There you go. Like everyone, it's a race. With POS, it's very different. It's more basically a money game, I would say, where the rich get richer and whatnot. Like it's a little bit, it's not easy. But with hieroglyph, anyone can basically spin a validator. And for now, it's very expensive and the cost is very prohibitive. But we're going to come at this later. We are able to make the accessibility way lower. There's a little we found a way. But regardless, anyone can just spin up a validator and mine these tokens. For example, let's take a bit token. Please give me an example. What's your favorite meme coin, Kit, or what's your ticker, your favorite ticker?
Let's do Bowden.
Okay, Bowden. So if Bowden, let's say, was on hieroglyph, and we are saying there's 100 token every single block. If there's one validator with the ticker Bowden and their graffiti, he's gonna get all the tokens. But if next block there's 100 people, potentially everyone would get one Bowden. If there's 10,000 validator, do you see what's happening here with the difficulty basically and the emission? You could say after 50 blocks, the emission is cut in half. You can go with time. It is very trivial to build on top of the core protocol. All these mechanics are possible. You could even another use case potentially could be every single validator that have a graffiti, will whitelist them to mint a special NFT. We have created some games on top of this. You can basically use a randomizer, Chainlink VRF, or basically randomizer.ai on Arbitrum. You can just say, well, give me a number between 0 and 1,000. If you get the number, which we basically take on chain, and so we have a snapshot before and whatnot of all the graffiti. If you guess the right number, you will get the price money. This is all possible on hieroglyph, on the core protocol. From day one. It's available. And this is what phase 3 is going to be all about. I don't want to dive more into kind of what's coming, but that's kind of the developer tooling. Everyone knows pump.fun here, of course, but you are able to use pump.fun to distribute the token via hieroglyph, and that is beauty to us. This is beautiful, and that brings us to the fair aspect, the fact that there can be no pre-mined, the fact that we can start a ERC token at 0 supply, and instead of enabling distribution via LP pools with pool 2 or pool 1 with just asset, we can say, well, guess what? If you are securing the network, we will basically incentivize you. We will give you this token. And, I think that's really what I would call an immaculate token, similar to the Immaculate Conception. It doesn't get better than this, sir. And to me, that's fascinating. I don't know about you guys, but...
Yeah. You know what, this kind of almost fits the current regime and sentiment of low float, high FDV. The hate for
Because it starts
that.
at 0.
And this is the exact other side of the spectrum. Is as fair as can be. And not only that, it's incentivizing the right thing, right? You want more complete validators to come on and help the
Well,
security of the
if it
the
starts
network.
at zero, like, okay, let's say if it starts at zero a token, let's say the supply is like 1 million, and there's no pre-mine, and everybody has a fair chance to mine it. It's technically, and let's say there's like 1,000 minted each, or like 100 minted each block. Is that technically like low float, like to start? But the
Good
thing,
point.
yeah, it is low float to start, but because there's no pre-mine, yeah, go ahead.
You can in theory do a pre-mint, but this
Okay.
pre-mint could be directed into like a liquidity pool, could be directed towards like a special kind of POAP holders, could
public
be
goods.
towards public goods, could be NFTs, could be anything. Really, like you are like, as I would say, like the thicker creator or owner or token creator, you are the one deciding all these parameters. And I think the fairer you are, and like with the best intentions, the more people will value it. The beauty of this is that everything is on chain. If you are yourself pre-minting or pre-mining X amount of token, we will all see it on chain. Where the problem is with the current meme coins, what I'm seeing and what I don't like necessarily is I have absolutely no idea who is sniping their own token. Is these LP like kind of really burnt or locked or not? I mean, locking, it's easy to verify, but really like the manipulation of supply at launch is very difficult to assess. Like you really need to dig into this because people are using tons of bots, tons of different wallets and whatnot. It is, obscurity. And to us, like, I think participants in the ecosystem, that doesn't sound good. That is not really, for all the Pepe that we've seen, all the WIF, all the Boden, all the Bode or whatnot, there's like 600,000 tokens on Pump.fund that nobody has heard of, that has been rogged or whatnot. I think that's
600,000.
I think cumulative. I think that's where we're at. Last time I looked at the Dune dashboard, that's a lot of tokens. And by the way, like Alan, like the Pump.fund founder,
Yeah.
guys, get your fucking decks up and running already. Stop following this shit on Radium. But anyways, regardless.
You heard it here, Elon. Get your shit together. Friend of the show. We love him.
But regardless, yeah. So that's kind of the beauty with Hieroglyph. The fair aspect of it, purity, and the fact that this is enabling complete validators. Yeah, we can talk about accessibility if you guys want, real quick.
I wanted to get into one part of the white paper that really spoke to me. It said Ethereum validation creates two types of value: block rewards and information privileges. I think everybody's familiar with block rewards. You get rewarded for securing the network, and that's where we have all the LSTs and whatnot. But no one looked at information privileges until hieroglyphs came along. And there's no, in the white paper, you said graffiti is the ultimate symbol of information privilege. Can we go into how does hieroglyphs turn information privileges into value, and this whole where do you see this going from there?
Please, Glovin, go at it.
So yeah, in the context of white paper, the information privilege mentioned in this context was originally about the order flows, so MEV and things like that. In fact, I don't want to go too deeply technical into this, but I'll just give you very high level overview on our approach on the decentralization of validators and whatnot. Yeah, PBS was created to address that. And just like economic partial validators have no say over the block building process because they delegate all of those technical complexities as well as the powers regarding the validation process. Validators post PBS, if they're connected to MEV boost relay, and it indeed offloads many of the technical complexities of extracting MEVs and indeed democratize it. But it's a bit concentrated into few hands, like few builders. But that does not mean we should encourage validators to turn off their MEV boost relay because it just concentrates the power again to the few validators. So as you dig deeper into this context, I can list 1,000 different layers of problems. There are obviously layers of issues. we indeed need more builders, obviously more decentralization and incentivization relays, whether that being enshrining it within the protocol or having another layer on top to solve the issue. But not too sure if it's within the scope of problem we're trying to solve at the moment. So to give you a little more context for my thinking before I talk about what follows, I really like to divide problems into urgency and importance. So when I think about problems, I usually think of them in terms of this 2x2 metrics. So problems like MEV is on the urgency side of the table. It could not be knocking on the door tomorrow. It's something tangible. It's got immediate economic stakes. However, we'll eventually have to come back to solve this important issue of increasing the number and diversity of the validators, which are the final decision makers. Even the decisions regarding are they going to turn on the MEV boost or not. So, and if we even go more extreme, decentralizing the consensus layer of Ethereum and decentralizing the validators who are the ones who decide the actual direction of Ethereum. So I guess those kind of problems, decentralizing the validator dynamics itself, it's what falls under the importance category. So I guess that's where we're actually heading towards at the moment. And yeah, I think I'll have a chance to cover this later on. Graffiti as a symbol of the power that we're giving away when we're delegating to liquid staking providers. I guess that's going to be another topic too.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, let's get into hieroglyphs a bit more. Earlier, you talked about encoding and translating, and this is a real core part about how the protocol works. Can we go into what's going on here? And, go ahead, Maki.
So I think the easiest way to explain it is think of ENS. Every single char in a graffiti resolve to a contract, a resolve to a proxy, and in this contract, any single logic can happen. Whether that is to disperse a token, whether that is to give you an NFT, whether that is to return a value, whether that is anything can be done with these kind of contracts. And there is 32 of these resolving proxies in every single graffiti. The encoder, translator, and whatnot, like we are using something on the side to basically like read what you got, check what's happening, and then basically like fetching it and whatnot. That's really what's happening in the back per se. And the only way to actually assess, we can see the block builder graffiti, but every single other people at the moment basically like attesting, verifying what the block builder did and whatnot. We cannot fetch on chain. That is not possible. So we need to rely on third parties. At the moment, we're using Gelato network to basically like fetch this information.
Shout out Hilmar and Lewis, friends of the show.
And then we basically like just give medals, which are off-chain points, to keep track of who has been attestating based on the uptime and whatnot. What happened is once you reach a certain amount of medals, you are able to redeem it for badges, which are soulbound token. This remains with you. This is not core to, this is core to the protocol, but then like what's happening with the badges is, inherently like part of the coordination game that we can talk about later. But regardless, with the soulbound token, you're able to basically like redeem like incentives. You're able to do like a bunch of things. But this is really part of the coordination game. Should we dive in the coordination game now? Or because
one sec.
Yeah, go for it.
Just so I can kind of group all this together, is this 32, or I'm sorry, this 28 char, right? 28 character. And is the encoder and the translator part of these 32 or
we read basically like with a special syntax. Okay, so you've put hashtag kit. Perfect. That's one token. Amazing. Okay, you have a comma, right? Okay, you have 0xMaki. Perfect. 2 tokens. Amazing. Beautiful. At. This is your wallet. This resolved to where this should be claimed. Okay, this should be claimed. It can be an ENS, a cluster, could be just a wallet. And this you need to register it. That's called the ID. And then at the very end, you have a flag. Where are you going to claim said token on this wallet? Is it going to be on Optimism, Arbitrum? Is it going to be on Phantom, Avalanche, etc.? That's kind of how this is being interpreted, and how this behave. This is why you need this syntax. It's just for giving us flags for us. If you are familiar with command line, CLI, whatnot, this is, or regex is the same exact thing, to be honest. It is very simple. That's why I say, it's a 60 IQ protocol. It is very simple to build. It has some very cool ramification, but it's in theory quite simple.
I love that breakdown. Literally, I think we can, people can totally make a clip out of that and understand how that formulates into the encoder to kind of like decode that. And then the translator then, I guess, pings all the smart contract that is needed to execute that single line that you had just said, right?
You got it. There you go.
Beautiful. Okay,
There
now
you go,
let's go on
60
to
IQ.
the 120 IQ, because that's fairly easy. Instructions, something to encode it, something to understand it, something to activate it, and then now is the coordination game, which is the 120 IQ portion. Let's get into that.
So one thing that I'm seeing quite often with financiers, VC, or developers is, this is all cool, Maki, but how are you going to make it interesting or find PMF, or what's your GTM, go to market? How are you going to get this out there? That's what everyone wants to know. And the truth is, some people often refer to this motto like, build it and they will come. You couldn't be more further away from the truth. You need to actually push the protocol to its limit to actually show what is possible. And then people will get inspired. Then people will want to play with this. Then people will want to ape and whatnot. So what we decided to do is we've done a breakdown in 5 phases for Heroglyph. Right now we're in phase 2. We're not fully launched, unfortunately. There's been kind of hiccups, but phase 1 was very simple. You could mint keys. Why do we need keys? I will kind of talk about the civil aspect of complete validator and whatnot very briefly, but we one of the first question everyone is asking me always is, how do you know if the validator is a UN or a solo validator? Well, I can't. It's not possible. I will be very honest with you. This is way above my pay grade. I don't know how to solve Cyberlink. If I was, I would have some orb somewhere and command a 10 billion plus valuation. The truth is, I'm not there. So what we've decided to do is very naively said, well, if the sole validator, the complete validator, as an EOA, as the retro address, well, we can assume that this is not a custodian. We can assume that this is not an LSD, unless, this is a very, very shady one.
Trust me, bro, LSD.
There you go. And then so we decided to say, well, what if we do this? Everything has cons, pros and cons. The cons is this is incentivizing a very bad security, so multi-sigs are excluded. All right, went back to the drafting table. Well, if we are to support smart contracts, then what if there's a pull app inside? What if there is something else, and so on and so on? NFTs potentially. We decided to go for keys. So just an NFT that you buy, that you keep in your validator or your ID, and that will basically act as I don't want to say 2FA, but let's use this analogy just for the sake of the explanation. So you have a key in your validator. You need to, no LSD out there will start to buy keys. I cannot believe it. If they do, if they're that degen, god damn it. That's really a success, And then you need to actually buy an ID. So you need to identify your validator, or similar to register an ENS. You just need to say, well, this is my validator, discuss 0.1 ETH. And, if someone has 10 validator, it's going to cost a little bit. This represents like around like a month of reward for 32 ETH validator at the moment, which is not nothing per se. Regardless, we launched with this kind of phase one. We got like over 23,000 minters, which was, you know, very successful. We raised like around 6 million. And ultimately, we think, like, great, PMF is achieved. You know, we've got the word is on the street, amazing. But on the other end, there's a bad truth, is we saw an entity starting to farm with 3,000 validator. And, you know, like, then that was like, oh, there you go. We found it. Some people are trying to basically break or exploit kind of the system. And, you know, like, that's where we started to add like basically like an entry queue. We started to add like way more kind of filtering and whatnot to the system. And that's why we had to kind of push back the launch of V2. V2 is very simple. Every single keys that everyone minted is required to mine these meme coins. So we have 14 meme coins, one for each chain in many cases. It's going to basically like, I think crypto is very tribalism ecosystem. So, you know, everyone has their tribe. Everyone, you know, one prefer Polygon, the other one prefer Avalanche, the other one prefer Mode, someone prefer Fractal, etc. The beauty of here, what we've tried to concoct is just like do a mascot for each of these ecosystem and see what will happen. Are we going to see a rally where everyone in, for example, what's your favorite chain, Dave? You mean
I love the bear chain voice.
the bear chain? Well, like, okay, so bear chain is the exception because they're not launched yet. So they're going to be a pre-launch token.
Let's do Fractal.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do Fractal. So shout out to Sam Kazemian, probably listening. And by the way, so Fractal launch, perfect. We have a meme coin. Do you remember Bonk on Solana?
Yeah.
Shit, do you remember Bonk?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Beauty.
of course.
What
rally
happened with
cry.
Bonk? What happened with Bonk?
It basically
There's a lot of
unified.
integrations with it.
It's like, yeah, exactly.
There you go.
It brought the ecosystem back. I felt like it was like
There
everyone
you
just
go.
went behind it and was like, you know, we're coming back from this
And to me-
SBF situation. Yeah.
And to me, you know, like Bonk is really one of these kind of success story for an ecosystem where, you know, everyone discarded basically like what was happening over there on Solana. Like, oh, it's dead. Like, you know, it was kind of SBF chain. What I think people didn't understand how resilient their developer community was. And to be honest, like I've been very impressed with the Solana folks. But regardless, so Bonk acted as an electrocute to all these kind of devs to say like, hey, it's time to collaborate. It's time to push this.
It's time to build.
There you go. It's time to build
Together.
and so like,
together.
and so that's kind of what we're trying to achieve here. It's like, oh, everyone was bearish on ETH and whatnot, and we were thinking like, what can we do to basically unite everyone? And that's kind of our solution. Is it gonna work? Is it gonna be the next Swift or Pepe? I don't think so. Maybe if we're very lucky, who knows? But one of the things that is really great is every single one of these meme coins is different. Different in name, different in supply, different in emission schedule, different in pre-mint, different in the initial liquidity being seeded. So is it going to be like the greatest experiment for like all these devs? They will be able to see all these data points and basically like see what works and what doesn't? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a game. That's the goal of it. It's a coordination game.
Yeah.
So that's for phase 2.
I remember when these NFTs first came out and Heroglyphs first came out, I was actually like away on a bachelor party in Puerto Rico and I saw this and I was like, I need to like mint this right now. I saw Maki, I saw something new. I just was like, all right, let me left curve this. And I just minted a bunch. And now you're saying it's these NFTs are the keys to a game, you know, an experiment around coordinating different communities. And basically, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we disseminated a lot of clues, and you know, like there's many phases coming up and whatnot. And the truth is, we're some of the feedback is a lot of people are pissed that actually you need these keys, you need a validator. And to us, like that was very important that, you know, actually like we incentivize folks that have like to run them and like, all right, like it's time to order the fucking dApp node, you know? That's what we wanted to do.
This
And-
sounds like the most Ethereum aligned projects since Eigenlayer.
Stop it, Dave.
You know, at first,
first.
I thought it was the ETH ETF that pumped Ethereum, but clearly it was Heroglyphs. That, you know, that's
I
why
love
ETH
the
is-
barbell here. You have like one side is the ETH ETF, which was just approved today, came out of like absolutely nowhere, and you can't get more institutional than that. And then you have the other side, which is running a solo validator with Heroglyphs and
Juxtaposition is
participating
crazy.
in this game, like bringing back this fair launch ethos that defined crypto before, whether it was with DeFi Summer and even the beginnings of Bitcoin. And I think that's your goal here. It's just to like, you know, make crypto fun again, like bring back that spirit again is that we like lost.
There you go. So, you know, if some people know me, some people don't know me, maybe listening to the podcast, but that's kind of where my uprising kind of came, right? Is when all these fair launch were happening. This is when I kind of had the calling. I was like, well, this is it. This is time. I need to kind of get involved because, well, otherwise, like, it's just going to be, big pile of VC shit. And ultimately, well, like, we saw, like, Yearn coming out of this. We saw Sushi coming out of this. You know, Yam, Pickle Finance, bunch of other, you know, the food tokens. And, you know, like, I think now... I think NFTs did great things too, and the culture, we're going to have some stuff for them too. But just one little things I want to mention is complete validator is really our goal, initial goal, but we're not forgetting about mini pools on Rocket Pools. We're not forgetting about folks who wants to use like DVTs, and ultimately, like I think people are going to wake up to potentially like finally get their validators running with Gnosis chain. Why? Because it takes, you know, I think it's sub $1,000 right now to get their validator running on Gnosis chain, and this is probably going to be one of the avenue. Is it going to have all the incentives identical to complete validator? I don't think so. We're going to try to make everyone happy and make sure you guys didn't get rug if you minted 30 plus keys. So we'll see what happens there. But ultimately, that's the goal here, to make sure everyone is kind of wake up, you know, stop being lazy and just run this hardware infrastructure that is so beautiful and makes this blockchain happen or reality.
Are you running hardware right now?
Myself?
Yeah.
No, unfortunately, I can't. I can't at the moment. I want
okay,
you guys
cool.
to do it for me.
Yeah. No, see, Maki created the coordination game, so instead of him running one machine, he's going to incentivize 23,000 keys to run 23,000 machines.
Tens of thousands of machines.
Big brain.
I cannot pre-mint it. I cannot pre-mine it. See, it's purity.
You know, now, I guess what's so great about this is you're effectively almost weaponizing meme coins for good. And if people want to speculate on these meme coins, they're going to have to do good for the network by, you know, running a complete validator. And then for folks that cannot run a validator, whether it be, you know, technical or economic reasons, they can, you know, have mini pools. I think Stakehouse was something that you had also mentioned. And there are like ways for you to get access to it. But nonetheless, it is incentivizing the right thing, which are more diverse and smaller, you know, stake at home folks. So I really like that. And, you know, you also tied in so many ecosystems, 14 of them. Largely, most of them are EVM as well, too. And then now you're able to showcase, like, even though everyone has a different L2, we're still all kind of unified under this one thing, because at the end of the day, you settle onto ETH and you need a complete validator to basically, you know, accept your state proofs. And I think that's such a beautiful vision. Now, can we get into the degeneracy side of things? Okay, like let's get into how are you thinking these complete validators will be motivated, and talk about the liquidity pools, right? Because you guys raised 6 million, but 98% of it goes to something and 2% goes to something. Could you kind of walk us through the degeneracy side?
So basically, like any of the proceeds from the NFTs, the keys, are not going into our pocket, or we're not keeping it at all. 98% will go on various liquidity pool across all these for, you know, chains and networks. We have two, I think I would say three type of tokens. So first one is, let's call them the pre-mints. So what we've been seeing is a very kind of unique phenomenon in community building over the past, I want to say, a year at least. We are seeing massive activation of, parachain community, monad community, which don't have a token, don't have a chain live yet. Well, they're still like the talk of the town. They're everywhere, and they're very active community members. To me, this is great, but we wanted to do something for them. We wanted to make sure that we could have prime real estate and have the first meme coin on these networks. So we decided to launch them preemptively. For some of the people that are a little bit older, if you remember EOS, where did EOS launch?
Ethereum.
They launched on Ethereum. There you have it.
For 365 days, right?
Yep. There you go. The infinite ICO. So regardless, Molandak, which is basically like one of the most adorable mascot for Monad, is going to be launching first on layer 2, and then basically all the LP will be transferred over there. And
yeah, I have the worst story with EOS, and when it was on Ethereum and it was migrating, I lost my private key. And so I couldn't, it was awful. And it took me like a year because I was the only one that lost their key to like get it onto actual EOS. And by that time it was down 90%. So absolute pain.
The Dave tax.
The Dave tax. So be careful. Just make sure you copy and paste your private key.
Yep. So
Continue.
So basically, like, so we have Monad, we have Bear Chains, same principle. So basically, like, the liquidity pool is going to be moving on their mainnet whenever this is happening. For other tokens, like there's like 10 of them. They're just going to be like deployed on various dexes. I have a lot of friends in the communities, have been supporters of all these builders, and so we decided to deploy on multiple of these, basically like dexes, chains, and whatnot. So we also going to have, I think there's 2 tokens that are like tokenless. We'll give more detail on this at launch and whatnot. Like they're not forgotten. Don't worry about this. We also have 2% of all the proceeds going to public goods. And this is something very dear to my heart because something that inspired me to make this, Heroglyph project was the blog post about meme coins by Vitalik, right? I think everyone read it. Everyone kind of was like, well, Nani, what are we going to do with this? What is happening? Everything is shifting into like a glorified casino. Is this really what we're here for and whatnot? I'm not. And by the way, meme coins are just a Trojan horse for what we really want to do with Heroglyph. Like, it's just, if this is the meta, like, well, I'm not going to put my head in the sand and just like do nothing. I'm not going to sit on my hands, say this is disgusting, I don't want to touch it. And a lot of people in the Ethereum community feel that way, I think. And that's why we've not been doing anything to basically like do the counterbalance what is happening on all these degenerate chains. So 2% is going to protocol guilds, which is basically like the team building the clients for ETH2 and basically all this goodness that we're using. So 1% is protocol guilds, 1% is public spaces. So you're seeing today, like I have this camera on. It's not something that I do very often. This is a public good space, hacker space. We have right now, like basically like, I think a list of 7 or 8 of these public spaces around the world where, like the only requirement is literally like, you're not a for-profit or a non-profit, we don't care. Are you hosting a weekly or monthly Ethereum meetups? If this is the case, we will make sure to send you some money. That is no question asked. No strings attached. We don't even care if you, put the name or not. This is not our goal. Our goal is just literally to help having gathering spaces. Places where people can go talk, discuss ideas around like blockchains at large. It doesn't have to be Ethereum per se. I would like it to be, but it doesn't have to be. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. That's kind of how the proceeds are going to be used. And then like maybe 2 last little nuggets, I guess, of information here. We're going to have, thanks to Superfizz for coining the term, we're going to have ice drops at launch. So everyone holding keys will be able to have a cliff airdrop of said meme coins. There's going to be some cool mechanics around this. We'll explain later on. But basically, it's an airdrop that is cliffed invested. So very simple.
How does one get this ice drop?
The ice drop is basically like if your key has been sold out, you are eligible for the ice drop. If your key is still not sold out, it needs to be sold out first. And if a key has no cap, then there's no ice drop eligible. There's also like, yeah, that happens for, Garfeldo fellas or Lasagna. And then there's also like, I think 1 or 2 tokens with like just plain airdrop. So TBD. And then I guess like the last little nugget was regarding, I'm just blanking out here a little bit, but yeah, that's
Okay.
for now. For now,
Okay.
let's call it that way. Yeah.
All right, so let me jump in here and just put a bow on this. You fundraised $6 million. Out of that, 2% is going towards these public goods and also public spaces to incentivize basically community and goodness for everyone.
Goodness.
98% of it is going to go into liquidity pools for each respective 14 tokens across all these, chains and whatnot. All right. Now, I, as a key purchaser, an NFT purchaser, and assuming I also run a complete validator, I'll take this NFT key. I would then go and pay the ID, which is 0.1 ETH, to register my validator with kind of Heroglyph system. Now, at that point, I can start putting in the key that I want to mine with my validator, with the address that I want the rewards to go to. Now, every single block as I'm producing, I am not adding to state bloat because this is in the graffiti area, right? This is literally already there. So you're not adding anything new. And that's why you have to be creative to squeeze the name of your token into a ticker, right? Squeeze it to as small as possible, preferably 1 character.
Yep.
And now as every block happens, I'm mining this, and I'm accruing all of these tokens. Then I can take these tokens and go to these liquidity pools that are already on these individual chains and just go and, degen sell them if I so choose.
You can sell them, or even better than this. And, like this is something that I'm very keen to experiment with because this was not possible back in the days. And that has been like a wish of mine that I've wanted for 2+ years. You will be able to leverage an Agena finance market, meaning that you will be able to borrow against your newly minted meme coin if you wish to. If you think, oh, you know what, I think this is potentially more potential to run up potentially, or I want to edge my farming, I want to sell now in advance and whatnot, I will be able to borrow preemptively some of these tokens and sell them preemptively. Or again, you can take leverage up, you can short them, you can do whatever you want. And I've been seeing it so far being used on Blast already. Have you guys been hearing about the Yes token or baseline protocol?
Yeah, we had them on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So Agena Finance was basically used with Yes protocol, and I think that was really cool to see kind of this experimentation. So we're gonna see it with Heroglyph again at launch too, and so this way, validator, we assume, and that's gonna be a very big gamble here, to be honest. Are we going to see complete validator, sole validator, farm and dump, similar to some of these kind of pool one kind of process back in the days, or are we going to see them potentially auto and maybe bet on this on culture? I think it's going to be very fun. And what is great is for some of these just, I guess, meme coin hunters or speculators, some of the tokens are actually way less skewed towards validators. So they will have, quote unquote, less to dump. So you will have to really investigate or scrutinize all the stats or, characteristic of all these tokens and take the wisest decision yourself. So
I have a question.
Yep.
So the tokens and tickers and all that, they live in the graffiti.
No, so
Okay.
you will be able to claim them from a contract. So basically,
Okay.
like the distribution method is via graffiti, but the way it works is there's a contract where you can claim them from, and that's
Oh,
when they're
okay.
kind of materialized on chain. So this way,
Yeah.
instead of minting them every single block, like for example,
So
like yeah,
the graffiti is a tool for distribution.
exactly.
Okay. So distribute, and then it's
Yeah.
the
Then
distributed
you
on
claim them
chain, and you claim them
Yeah.
on
on chain.
chain with
There
the
you go.
contract.
Because
Okay.
compared to Bitcoin, we already have beautiful token standard called ERC20s, and they are not necessarily perfect, but they can solve a
They're
lot
pretty
of
damn
our
good.
issues. Yeah, they're pretty damn
Yeah.
good. They're pretty damn
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So instead
Gavin
of having
was,
to mint, yeah,
Gavin was cooking.
yeah, it's
yeah.
cooking.
Instead of having to mint every single block, these graffitis that you include is almost like a block, a validator raising their hand and being like, "Hey, make sure
My
you
turn.
count me in, okay? Hey, another one, another block." So they keep on raising
There
their
you go.
hands, and then over time, until they accumulate enough badges, or I'm sorry, medals,
Yep.
then which would then translate to badges, which would then translate to tokens. Right?
Exactly. There you go.
Gotcha. Okay. And that obviously reduces bloat because you're not doing it on every single block and you're just smashing it.
Yep. And again, like we're doing tokens for now, but just keep in mind, like, and this is for the devs listening. I don't know how many devs are here. I assume it's more degens with DeFi Dave and Kiet, but it's a
some devs.
playground. It's a playground. You guys can build anything that you want, and there's already people digging. We have like a Telegram group with over 60 devs, top tier devs, already cooking some stuff. You want
What are they
Launchpad,
cooking?
you want Launchpad, you want launchers.
What are they cooking?
You want cookie cutter like templates. You want NFTs. You want anything. Like literally, like people are already cooking some new stuff, and I think it's going to be very exciting. And I think like this is literally just Genesis, right? It's just the phase 2. It's just like the first things we're going to see. Very stupid, very dumb. Like they're a little bit funny. The memes are funny a little bit, but that's it. So yeah, I don't think we have too much degen stuff, to be honest. Like these token like liquidity pools are going to be locked and burned or whatnot, and that's it. That's all we have going on for now. So I don't think
love that.
I
It's
don't
gonna
want to
be,
expand too much on phase 3 now and phase 4, phase
Got
5,
it.
but yeah, like just stay tuned. I think we should do a part 2 for this podcast and maybe come back whenever
We'll
phase
do
3 or
one
4
for,
is ready.
Yeah, 3 and 4 and beyond.
Let's go.
Something in my research was the first 14 Genesis tokens don't have a tax to them, but all tokens generated after do have a harbinger tax
Yep.
of sorts. Is that correct? Can we go into that more?
Yeah, let's kind of dive into this real quick. So basically, like the protocol is enabling kind of revenues or profitability and kind of dynamics via this harbinger tax, which is not used that much in crypto in general. Where this come from, for me personally, like it was implemented in the first way I saw it was Simon de la Rouvière, which from South Africa did like this NFT, which is this artwork is not for is always for sale. Basically, like it just you can steal the ownership of the artwork by paying like some ETH, and basically like you keep it, and there's a tax in perpetuity for holding it. So you pay, I think for the artwork it's 5% per year. It's been running since 2019, I believe. And can you guess how much the creator has made from this artwork at the moment?
$69,000.
69,000. What about you, Kit?
I want to say $690,000.
690. So far he made around, I think it's 30 or 32 ETH. Since 2019, so God is himself like is so validator via just like this NFT experiment, and I think it's pretty sweet. And maybe potentially, I don't want to jinx it, but maybe potentially that is also like the way to solve the royalty problem for NFTs. Anyways, so what happened is every single tickers that people are buying to basically like distribute these meme coins or tokens or games or projects, they need to purchase them, and there's a tax every single I think it's every single block it's preserved, Sorry, it's taken. And yeah, that's kind of how we do it. For the meme coins, for the Genesis keys, what we wanted to do is we didn't want to profit from it ourselves. We didn't want people to hijack them and potentially like insert like malicious kind of smart contract, because this is something that is possible, by the way. Like anyone can hijack the tickers. So yeah, we made them kind of immune to hijacking. We made them free for people to, we're not profiting from it. And that was kind of the thinking over there. If you had like a normal tickers, you would be paying a tax. You could get hijacked. What happened when you get hijacked, just like very quickly, you're not losing the ERC20 tokens like the contract deployer and whatnot. No, it stays there. It keeps accumulating, but then you need to buy another ticker. Why would someone hijack your ticker? Well, the less characters there is in your ticker, the more people can stake them, the more profitable validators can be if they can nest multiple tickers. So single chart tickers have been already actually being purchased at the moment. What people are doing is they are resolving them to the current kind of longer Genesis ticker. So you see, like the apes are quite smart actually, and they are, leveraging exactly the techniques that we were hoping they would do and basically leverage. So that's what's kind of is happening on this side. We also have the IDs that is basically like going into protocol revenues in ETH. And that is, I would say, how the protocol is self-sufficient or at least earning. And that is some of that money pays for the Gelato network kind of fees and whatnot. So yeah, there you go.
So let me just summarize that. Effectively, the protocol's generating revenue via two ways. One is the validator ID that costs 0.1 ETH to purchase. Yep. And second is the harbinger tax that accrues almost a per block basis for the tickers.
Yep.
Okay.
There we
go. The way, just to explain the hijacking a bit more, is right now there is the ticker Smokey for the Barachain token, right? Someone could literally buy another ticker with just the letter S. And that letter S can direct to, as a proxy, to the Smokey ERC20 token. But because there's only S versus SMOKEY, now you could put another token in this 28 character line instead, right? Because you only have 28 characters. Smokey is already a 6-letter word. So that takes away, 5 other coins that you could be merge mining. So that's why single character tickers are worth it.
More, right? Yeah, exactly. And this is the same for ID. You can have an ID that is a single char. You can have an ID that is multiple char, but then you will be losing kind of real estate. And you need to optimize this char real estate that you have out there.
Is there a harbinger tax counts. Every character counts. Is there a harbinger tax for the ID itself too? So 0.1 ETH?
No. So the thing with IDs is we wanted the ID. So okay, that's a little rant on my end, but I know a lot of people are frustrated by the way kind of ENS you can lose it, right? If you're not basically like paying attention, and then basically like you forgot to repay it and whatnot, and someone hijack it, and then now they're keeping it for forever, or squatting on it or whatever, and it's pretty unfortunate. And ultimately, I think ENS is quite nicely kind of done and whatnot. But for IDs, what we decided to do is, you want an ID, you resolve it to one wallet or one ENS, and this is it in perpetuity. It's a one-time fee. That's it. That's all. And for each, and potentially like in the future, if we're if the PMF is there and whatnot, like potentially this can be also like this ID can be supported by wallets, and instead of using .eth, now you can do at like maybe K, and there you go. This is going to be your wallet resolving to it. That's possible. But anyways, so we decided to do the same thing. You can put a ENS in there, a cluster, just a wallet. You can, if for example you lose the private key to your wallet, or you sell the ENS or whatnot, you can just buy another ID, and that's it. It's 0.1 ETH. Like at the moment, it is. I don't think it is that crazy to ask someone with 32 ETH to basically like chip in a little bit for the continuity of this protocol. And anyways, part of this revenues help directly like to fund this, public goods and whatnot. So I think we're all aligned here.
Got it.
And so basically, if you're paying the harbinger tax for these different characters, the thinking is you'll be earning more from basically mining, and then you can
More
use what you
coins.
mine to like
You
pay
are
the
not you are
harbinger.
not you are not the one paying it as the validator.
Oh,
This is
oh,
only
you're
the
not.
deployer, the ticker deployer, the token
Oh,
deployer.
oh,
These are
okay.
the people. So for example, like if they were to let's use something that I really hate from this new meta, but I do a pre-sale. Let's say I do a pre-sale, and
Oh.
I get 1,000 ETH by posting a wallet on X or Farcaster
Oh.
or whatever. Well, like part of that 1,000 ETH, instead of just putting it into liquidity, I could just buy a ticker on Heroglyph, Prime Real Estate One, and there we have it. That would be the folks kind of basically like paying this quote unquote tax.
Got
So
it.
the
But someone
ticker
can come
deployer.
in and pay more and win that
Exactly,
ticker
they
over,
can
right?
steal it. Yeah, they can steal it. They can hijack it,
So,
and
so,
that's the fun of it.
so yeah. So you need to really be kind of vigilant and keep on paying basically the highest bidder on the ENS every single block,
A
right?
beautiful game.
I wonder what the equilibrium of different tickers are going to look like.
I have no idea, and I'm very excited to find out. To be honest.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, 'cause technically ticker A is just as valuable as ticker Z because it's just
Yep.
one character. But I feel like it wouldn't
I
be
feel
an
like
even
Z-
distribution in pricing. It will be, like some people would hate the letter L.
Oh,
Nobody wants to take an L.
Oh, guys, I just want to specify. We not only support Roman letters, but we also support Engul in Korean, Chinese, Hebrew,
Oh,
Russian, Arabic, and we all basically like UTF-8. We have a bunch of characters from all basically like globalized. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. Multiple communities. This is a global kind of movement, sir. This is not
whoa.
limited to just like the Roman languages and letters. So yeah, we got like bunch of one letters from everywhere, and we have some weird ones too. Anyways, so yeah,
That can get interesting.
numbers are also supported. So there you go. It's gonna be fun.
All right. Now let's get into the roadmap of Heroglyphs. You guys are in the process of launching as we speak.
Yep.
When can people start and get into this? When can they start playing the game? When can they start mining? When can they start bidding for tickers? Like what? When can we?
So
Yeah, go ahead.
mining was launched in the first phase. So just as testing and whatnot, you couldn't redeem against anything. We had to put a break to it because of quote unquote like an attack or someone trying to game the system. But we will be relaunching if everything goes well, either today or tomorrow. So as we're recording this is already. Is it Friday? No,
It'll
it's
come out Friday.
23, 24 kind of May, and it should be pretty exciting. The ice drop is not gonna happen this week, it's gonna happen next week, and then like more details will basically like surface on blog posts. We're gonna, for everyone listening, like the initial launch blog post was 24 pages, and we had to basically like cut it down to 11, 13 to make sure that this was coherent and whatnot. There's some, the way we call it is game masters of kind of the coordination game are themselves like confused. Developers, the team is also confused by all the game and whatnot. It's some degen shit, to be honest. So
Yeah, we've seen it. It is indeed some degen shit.
yeah. So, but starting tomorrow, people will be able to basically like ape in, and hopefully we're gonna have a very cool launch. I think people are gonna love the kind of mystery and whatnot. There's also like already hints in the launch video for phase 3 that people can start decipher and hopefully give or win an advantage. And then that's it. But again, remember one thing. I think it's the most important thing. Everything always start on chain. So the people looking on chain always have advantage.
Always. I have one final question.
Go for it.
My favorite line from the white paper is the absurdity of our times mirrors the gravity of our challenges. What are the challenges we face? What happens if we face them successfully? But what happens if we don't face them?
So, yeah, as I've mentioned previously, the problem that we're trying to solve might not cause us a huge problem today or tomorrow. In fact, centralizing everything makes everything easier, opens up different possibilities that makes everything efficient. But just like the fire alarm that only goes off when there's a fire, we'll only start to notice when there's a problem, when the problem actually becomes problematic. And I think what we're building is the defense against those centralizing forces in advance. So liquid staking actually offers a lot of convenience and it has economic incentives. And with like restaking and other DeFi lending protocols or DeFi protocols that are integrating liquid stake tokens, I guess those are the biggest opportunity costs and hurdles for us as we see. So there is a huge economic incentive. There's a huge economic incentive to centralize everything. And there is a huge economic incentive to achieve economies of scale of centralization. And what we need is to actually incentivize them to overcome these things so that contributing to the decentralization of Ethereum does not only feel good, but actually pays off. So yeah, I guess you could say that our mission is to give users as much incentive as possible to solve problems together without opportunity costs and to get people involved and without much hurdles. So there are usually two ways of solving the problem, two ways of like getting people engaged. One is lowering the entry barrier. One is incentivizing. So on the lowering the entry barrier side, we're collaborating with, like as 0xMaki mentioned, different protocols, different services that actually help Solo Validator or actually help those ETH holders to step up as a Solo Validator. So maybe that part would be the way we lower the entry barrier, and while we only mainly focus on the incentive part of solving the problem.
Got it. Thanks for that. I think that wraps up all the questions for the main part of the show. Kit, let's do the lightning round, but we'll do one question each. So you do one question and I do one question.
Okay, cool. So I would love to know what was Maki's first virgin crypto experience. When did you first touch the blockchain, but sex doesn't count?
So buying on Shapeshift ZRX
Ooh.
and then transferring it to my on-chain wallet, my wallet per se, which was was it? Yeah, I think it was it's MetaMask or Mist. I don't remember. One of the two. But, it was definitely not the MetaMask that we have right now. It was way more clunky. So that was my first, virgin kind of crypto experience. And, withdrawing from a sex too. But, it's like purchasing on a sex shapeshift. There you go. So that's what's cool now.
Gotcha. And then Glovin, how about you? What was your first virgin crypto experience?
Buying Doge.
Wait, on the sex, or how did you buy Doge on Doge?
On a sex. All those.
That doesn't count. It can't be a sex.
Sex doesn't count. It has
Sex
to
doesn't
be
count.
All those like intermediate process. Like at first, the process of buying the Doge was an on-chain experience. Like swapping my ETH to other assets to find where Doge was. Because I thought it was on Uniswap and Ethereum.
Oh.
So like the process of buying the Doge was my first on-chain experience, which I
That's so funny.
had to go back to sex eventually. But yeah, that was actually my first.
So you mistakenly thought it was on Ethereum, not realizing it wasn't in ERC20.
You touched the ETH chain so you
accident.
can go into a sex, so then you can buy the Doge. Okay, I like that. That was a good first time. All right, that's it on my end, Dave.
Yeah. My last question is, who would you recommend as a guest? Who do you want to see on the show? 0xMaki, go first.
That's a good question. I don't know all the previous guests on Flywheel, to be honest with you.
Name any.
Just name.
All right. I would like to hear from Mr. Brink. So the guy that does Amoeba. The intent protocol on Cosmos. I would love to hear more about this fella. Adrian Brink. Yeah, there you go. That's the person I would like to hear more about.
Got it.
Noted.
Noted. Glovin, what about you?
I can't really think of any particular name at the moment. Maybe it would be great if we could see each other again on the next episode covering like the phase 3, 4, 5.
I guess
Yeah.
can I enter this one
Yeah.
and another
Yeah.
one then for me I'll take his. I would
All
like
right.
for you guys to invite Manny Rickon Cruz here, which is the co-author of Hieroglyph. He is an historian, and he is probably one of the more knowledgeable fella in protocol design I've ever met with Glovin that is here with me. So that would be a pretty nice spot, I think.
I'm a historian, history nerd at heart, so I think I'd enjoy that one.
Okay.
Guys, where can people find you on social media?
0xMaki on X, Farcaster, and Lens.
Glovin underscore on X. I'll probably create one in Farcaster pretty soon. And hero underscore glyphs on X.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Hope to see you again soon.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Stay
Kit.
on.
Thank you, Dave.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the postgame. I'm your host, DeFi Dave, here with Capital K, finishing off an episode with 0xMaki and Glovin, covering everything you need to know about Heroglyphs. There's a lot going on, but we broke it all down, and I think I got the gist of it now. It's basically using now it makes more sense that graffiti is basically like a better, more fair way to do distribution of tokens. So instead of just there being like a smart contract and there's like a pre-mine and this and that, it's like, nah, you gotta do the work. This is why in the white paper there's this like hybrid proof of work. You gotta like, get that the NFT ID, you gotta like put on the complete validator, set everything up, do the work, and then you'll get minted the tokens. So I see what they're trying to do here.
Yeah. I finally also get it, like the larger vision of it. And now I know the nuance of how it works. I wish we could have gave the audience a bit more cleaner cut. Maybe people can do some magic and like clip things together. Because I feel like there are so many nuggets, but it's all spread out.
This
throughout
is
the show.
one the people will have to listen to twice. Sounds like.
I think so. And
And
so.
it's
People
pretty
will
cool.
have, yeah.
Yeah, we have the timing like on the day of launch, fingers crossed. Like,
Yep.
So, but where were you when Heroglyphs came out, and did you mint the NFT right away?
I did. I think I didn't, maybe not right away, but I probably did it like within a day or so. I was just at home. I'm unlike you. I'm not a globetrotter.
I'm home now. I'm in my almost moved in apartment. I've been traveling so much. I'm still haven't moved in my apartment. I'm just like, oh my God, I gotta just finish it over here. But I think what people underestimate and like don't realize is the possibilities with Heroglyphs, because right now it's meme coins. Maki hinted at NFTs, but you could put anything in the graffiti.
Yep.
What's stopping? Like that's why he was encouraging, like, hey, devs, get a look at this, get a load here. The sky's the limit. So I really but I see what they're doing one step at a time with the go-to-market. First, do meme coins. That's what's hot right now. That's the meta. See how different communities revolve, kind of coalesce around these meme coins. I'm sure you can get a hint of the distribution and supply based on the NFTs. So those with low NFT numbers, I'm sure we'll have a low supply. But we'll see. It'll be really interesting to see what happens. And then, if the meme coin's successful, then we're going to have NFTs and then off to the races from there.
Yeah, no, I think it adds a different type of primitive, because it's putting into this new blocks. It's not really block space because it's
graffiti.
on top of the block space. So it's kind of adding this new layer to it. I mean, like you said, meme is just the first use case, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like what other you could do. You could put like intents up in there as well too, without having to put it into the block. But yeah, just as a dev, I'm sure people could think a lot about it. But yeah.
Yeah. We didn't get into this at all, but in the white paper, it uses the comparison to refining oil, which I find so funny because they call it Ethereum digital oil. And so right now it's just like block rewards and graffiti. And right now people are just focusing on the block rewards. When oil was first being refined, everyone was like refining kerosene for their lighting fixtures, and actually crude and like actual like gasoline was a byproduct and people threw it away. They didn't figure out that gasoline was valuable until the automobile came out, and then it became what we know and love today. And now there's like 6,000 different products refined from oil. So I think we're going to see the same thing here. First we have block rewards and graffiti, and now with graffiti, it's being refined into meme coins. And soon we're going to see it refined into, who knows, like tens, hundreds, who knows what other use cases is going to be refined in this graffiti space.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, especially with someone like Maki leading. I think it's just going to be really, really cool.
A man of principle, a man of character. Yeah. Since the sushi swap days. But yeah, real excited for this one. If this is your first time listening and you're excited too, if you're excited about us and what we have cooking in store at Flywheel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell button, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, give us a like. Make sure you follow us on all our social media on Twitter, TikTok, and Telegram at Flywheel DeFi. Follow us on Farcaster at Flywheel. You can follow me on Twitter at DeFi Dave 22.
You can follow me at 0xCapital_K.
Subscribe to flywheel.defi.com, and we'll see you next week. Peace. Everything said in this episode is not financial or tax advice. This channel is strictly for educational purposes and is not an investment advice or solicitation to buy or sell any assets or to make any financial decisions. This video is not tax advice whatsoever. Please talk to your accountant and do your own research.